I'm joined by Kenny Phillips, the Senior Vice President of EPM Wholesale. And today we are here with Mat Grella. Matt is actually one of the founders of NEXA and one of the coolest guys to play golf with, uh, only because him and I are on the same talent level and it makes it much more enjoyable.
Yeah, definitely the same talent level. Maybe you're slightly better, but
Depends on how many.
Right, exactly.
It was a true battle when we played Islesworth. So
that's a tough course, man. What are you talking about?
Before we get started, like you said, Matt is the co-founder and principal partner of NEXA. Matt comes with extensive background in both sales and marketing. He and his team are consistently recognized as top performers in the mortgage industry, and good friend of ours. And welcome to the show, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, Matt, we're excited to have you, man. I got to tell you, I really enjoyed my time with you down in Florida. And we just did something similar to that. Unfortunately, you guys had your trip, or fortunately, for the Masters. Yeah. And it's amazing to me that guys that are in your position, like you and Mike, that have built this amazing company, are willing to share with others. That's something that blows me away is when we sit around having a cigar, we sit around a fire pit, and you're with one of your biggest competitors with Pablo, and and you guys don't look at it as competitors. You're like, hey, here's what we're doing that works. Bill Lyons jumps in the conversation and says, well, I'm doing this and it works. So I really feel like the greats really are willing to share because there's no secret to them. They want to see everyone do well, and they don't look at it as competition as they do a community. So that says a lot about who Matt and Mike are as people. But I really want to know. So Kenny and I always know, everyone always jokes, we're always together. We're, yin and yang, we're ebony and ivory, whatever you want to call us. But, we have this relationship for 20 plus years. How did you and Mike, start your relationship?
That's a funny story. Our relationship started back, early days of 2016. I just got newly licensed. So I left a really good career in sales and coaching and all that stuff. And I decided to really put my money where my mouth was and wanted to get back into, 100% commission again. It was just one of those things. He had a branch that he was running for a local direct lender. And, I'd just gotten recently licensed. And, for starters, I knew that I wanted to be part of like a leads team, right? Because I didn't have a huge book of business coming in mortgages, right? A lot of guys that decide to get into mortgages or become a loan officer, and they're like, hey, I can monetize, my book of business. I got a bunch of friends. I could make a lot of money doing this. I didn't have that. So I knew that I was good at sales. I knew I was good on the phone. I knew I was really good at connecting to people and helping them, and so for me, it was just opportunities. And Mike was running a leads team. He was a branch manager. I came in and right out the gates just showed him what I could do, grinded it out every day. And quickly, within a very short amount of time, was the top producing LO of the branch, eventually was the branch's production. And then because of how well we worked together and, knowing that we both had a lot of similar goals of growth and doing something big, we decided to put those two visions together. And really, it's probably the best decision either one of us have ever made. And we were able to grow, create something down the road. It took a little bit longer to create NEXA, but we were able to eventually, create that and take that into the broker community, which we knew provided the best opportunity for our clients, for our partners or referral partners to really grow business, right, and take it to the next level. So that's really how it started. I mean, I know it sounds very, elementary. I know it's not, but really some of the greatest things that come about are just simple, right? So that's the simplest form.
Yeah, I think what I see, Kenny, you would agree. I'm sure you agree with this. When we see the two of them together, it's like they're like an old married couple that've been together, like we are, right? Like Kenny and I finish each other's sentences. We just have been together that long. Yeah. And you guys have a great bond, and I think you both have a lot to bring to the table. So that's really cool to see that dynamic. If anyone hasn't been able to see that live, it's worth the price of admission.
Yeah, we're like two brothers, It's
right.
It's tough. You guys found so much success. How do you keep that partnership working?
We're both extremely humble. I mean, it's trust, number one. Like, I trust Mike is going to go out there and he's going to, be solely focused on growing the company and solely focused on like the marketing side, the recruiting side, the growth. And he knows that I'm focused on, the retention side, the development side, the operations and all that stuff. So we trust each other. And I'll be honest, man, we literally sit in in a virtual room together all day long. He's at his house, which is about 7 miles away. I'm at mine, and we're collaborating all day long. Every idea that flows through NEXA, the two of us have our hands on it, and the two of us have the same philosophy, the same belief that if it's good for the loan officer, we're gonna figure out a way to do it, right? So we want NEXA to be the best place for a loan officer to come to grow their business, right? We always say here at NEXA, we're hands off. You know, when you come to NEXA, you get to be you, right? You get to run your business the way that you want to do it. It's all built on trust. We trust that you have a business plan. We trust that you are tenacious enough, just like we are, to go out there and grow that business. And then trust us that we're going to give you all the products. We're going to give you all the support, everything that you need to do that and do that at a high level. And that's really what we pride ourselves on, is just staying out of the picture. LO, you know, they run their business, and we promote our LOs. We do not compete against them. That's one of the biggest things that I found out when we were looking at becoming a broker, is that most broker shops have broker owners that are loan originators, and they're the highest producing originator in their branch or in their company. That's one thing that Mike and we decided from day one, we were going to step away from that. Like, we were not going to compete against our loan officers to take their business, right? So we didn't want a realtor looking up and say, hey, Mat Grella is the owner of the company. Let me ask him about this. Let me send my business to him because he has more pull. It doesn't work that way, right? Our loan officers are the face of our organization, the face of our business, and we just do everything we possibly can to promote and support them. And that's really our stance.
Yeah, you know, Kenny, I'll tell you this. I was telling Matt the other day, I work the Zoom room. I haven't been an account executive in 10 years maybe, and I challenge any C-level executive that does business with you guys to go in that room and learn what NEXA is about, because what he just said is 100% spot on. I said, hey, you know, where's did they all report up to a manager? And they're like, middle management? We're here. These guys are in the trenches with their people. They're not just, you know, sitting up there and say, do this, do that. No, they're in there. You need me, I'm here for you. That was what I thought was great about the Zoom room. I sat in there, and I honestly, the first day I went home to my wife and said, I haven't laughed that much in a long time. I had fun. I went in there and I worked with those loan officers, and you got some great, actually, I'm not saying the word loan officer anymore, mortgage advisors. I work with some great mortgage advisors, and they were awesome. And, you know, so it just goes to show that you guys, there's nothing in between the top and a mortgage advisor at NEXA. It's, hey, if you need me, I'm here, which is awesome. And that's what runs right into the next question. It's, you guys are like blue collar guys, but you're in this white collar corporate environment where you should be at the top. You are truly like EPM. We believe that any C-level executive is the foundation. So how do you guys keep that blue collar mentality at the top of the food chain?
You know, I think for one, we constantly have a chip on our shoulder. It's just one of those things where Mike and I are hard workers. Like, we pride ourselves on being the hardest workers, you know, at NEXA Mortgage, and you know, we want to, you know, be known as the hardest workers in the mortgage industry. And it's one of those things that as things get hard, as things get a little bit tougher, we just keep going. We just keep going harder. Like, there's a grind and relentlessness that the two of us both had from day one that we recognized in one another. So it's more of a go out there and just do it every day. I feel like if people could see us doing this every day, people that come to NEXA, you know, like just yesterday alone, every week I do our onboarding call for all of our new employees that come on, and we do like a goal setting, a mindset thing, and basically like a training and a coaching. And it's just one of those things where afterwards we're available to all of them. I tell them, you know, Mike and I are on Zoom. We take LO appointments all day long. Like, we meet with more loan officers or mortgage advisors, you guys would call them, than we do other stuff, right? Because we want to hear from our people, right? We want to hear their ideas. We want to hear what's working well. We want to, you know, and if it's not working well, let's fix it. Let's tweak it. And Mike and I are two guys that if something isn't working well, we're going to jump into it really quick, right? We're going to fix it fast. So it's like that quote from General Patton, right? A good plan executed today is better than a great plan. Or a good plan violently executed today is better than a great plan implemented tomorrow. And that's how we think about it. It's, if something needs to change, we got to jump in there and change it fast, get it right, and let's go, right? Let's get it back on its track. So it's a lead by example. It's always outworking. So, you know, showing people that we're always going to be in there. We're always working. It's just one of those mentalities that we have, right? It's just outwork everyone.
I love it. I think Kenny and I had the kind of the same, actually. Yeah, Julian, I do the same thing. I meet with him every week, and I tell him, look, my door is always open. I don't close it. But I do believe, to your point, you guys jump in the trenches and you're shoulder to shoulder with your people. And, how dare I say how my account executive is doing, by servicing the next account, unless I jumped in there like I have been. And
Yeah.
I'm committed to being there at least once a week, just because I actually had fun, like I said. So, yeah, you guys, it's clear as day that you guys are shoulder to shoulder with your people. I mean, that type of leadership is awesome.
Right. It's one of the things you said before is really about trust, right? It's a trust between him and Mike. It's the trust between him and the LOs. It's kind of reciprocal, right? You guys give the trust back and forth, and it works. We've noticed you guys onboard a lot of individual LOs and kind of groom through the company, but now you're starting to onboard some huge brokers, who going from independent brokers to part of the NEXA team. What makes these guys, give up their independence to come join NEXA?
That's a great question.
A lot of things. I was talking to one of our guys that came on a couple of weeks ago, and he brought over he actually was a broker, and for whatever reason, we had a little discussion about it. He was really tired of not being able to originate anymore. He was really tired of getting caught up in like compliance and audits and licensing and all this stuff that was really taken away from what he really wanted to do, was originate business. So a lot of originators go out there and they originate at a high level, and then they look at it and they go, you know what, I could do this. I could run my own business. But a lot of them that are true originators at heart, once you get into running a business, it's a lot more.
Right.
It's operations, it's people, it's accounting, it's a lot of stuff. It's human resources and people development and all that stuff. And it takes away from like really what you were really great at. So he recently decided to close up his shop and bring his team with him over to NEXA Mortgage, and he loves it, right? For day one, he's like, holy cow. He's like, I should have done this sooner. You guys make it so easy to just basically plug and play, and I can just be me. I could take my model. I can do what I'm doing at a higher level now, because I don't have to worry about, doing operations and doing all this other stuff that took away from it. So, we're kind of, we're kind of like moldable, right? Like we don't have a say model. Like we're not going to, sit there and have a bunch of, we don't run a consumer direct team. We don't do any of that. We don't do that, right? Mike and I are looking for independent mortgage people who are like specialists and experts that want to grow organically. And that's just how we've done it from day one. Let them be independent. They have a plan. We've got to trust them. And it takes like a lot to do that. It takes a lot to be like, oh man, we got to trust this guy. Hopefully he doesn't, implode and, ruin deals and ruin relationships. So sometimes, we have to kind of help those guys along a little bit. But most of the guys that come on board, most of the people that come on board, they're just fantastic human beings, So it's just, we love it.
That's in my perspective, is the hardest thing, the absolute hardest thing for me, and I'm sure for you and any leader that was great in the role that they're asking someone to do, is, I used to say, when people would ask me, hey, do you want to be in a leadership role? And I'd say, if I could still steal 40 bases and hit 40 home runs, why would I want to go coach? And it takes a while to get through that. When you get through and you let that go, and you see how much more enjoyable it is to watch somebody hit 40 home runs that could only before could only hit 30, steal 40 bases that could only hit 20. That is the biggest wall to break through. So kudos to you and Mike, because you guys could both still, if you wanted to, get on the phone and probably close 50 units a month. But that is the toughest part. And that was the toughest part for me. So I think for that person to say, that's a great leader, whoever that branch manager was that came to you and said, I want to do it this way. Back to your point of looking for the right people, that's the right person. You need people that, like I have the sign on my door that Eddie's always says, hang your ego up at the door and let's have a conversation. So that guy that you found, that branch, that's someone special. So I love the idea of looking for the right people, and then you can mold them up. If you got good people, you could accomplish anything.
Well, I mean, our question every day is, how do we get them? How do we help them? How do we support them to do more, right? How do I get more tools in your tool bag? One of the great things about being a broker, right? And this is the reason why we chose the broker model, was we wanted more options. Like we wanted to be able to win more deals. In order to do that, you have to have more products. You have to have more options, right? So for Mike and I, and our mentality is, how do we provide more resources? How do we help our loan officers go from maybe doing 10 loans a month to 10 to 12 to 15. Like, how are we going to help them do that, right? So, we created loan officer support, which, to us is really what we hang our hats on as our bread and butter. Because what you got to remember is before we ever scaled it, you're looking at LO support. It was me. Like, I would, while I was grinding it out, doing my calls, turning out pre-calls, talking to realtors, all that stuff, and doing my deals, when I got done with my time block of calling, I'd look out in the office and there'd be chairs in the lobby, and there'd be 4 or 5 LOs waiting to come into me to talk to me about a scenario, so we could break it down real quick. All right, this is the lender you want to take it to. Here's, and all that stuff. Well, I can't do that for 1,500, 1,600 loan officers, right? Which is where we're at now, right? So in order to get to that point, we kind of had to relinquish that control. We had to kind of relinquish a little bit and build more trust. We brought in a team that could do it, right? So we brought in a team that we could scale, and Dan Fouts and his team and LO support are phenomenal. And I tout him a lot because, he's like a big brother to me. I love Dan Fouts, and it allows us to give back to more LOs at this point, right? Where they can come in. I think his team is about 20, 25, maybe 30 loan officers strong at this point. So, anytime an LO has got a question or whatever they need, a scenario, they got somebody to talk to right away, somebody to help them with that. And that's us is the key. Support. It's always been support.
Right. You guys do something else that's very admirable. It's investing in your LOs, giving back, and teaching, new LOs, right? Giving them an opportunity to get into our business. Like, there's really nothing out there when you go to school in the academia world. Hey, I want to be a mortgage professional. But you guys have something special, which is, you guys call it NEXA University. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little about NEXA University.
So NEXA University is just, it's years and years of just material and, training material and marketing, everything that we've done, everything that we've accumulated in doing our business at a high level. So you've got marketing stuff, marketing pieces in there. You can use some marketing help. You've got questions about guidelines and stuff like that. We've got resources, for guidelines and everything. But NEXA University, then we took it a step further. And what we do is we partner with our lenders. We bring them in weekly. We bring them in sometimes a couple of times, 3 times a week, to highlight a product, to highlight something that gives our loan officer one more tool in the toolbox to go out and win another loan, right? Like, maybe you didn't think about working, maybe, when your previous employer, wherever it was at, maybe, dealing with self-employed borrowers was tough, right? It was a hard thing to do because we all know self-employed borrowers, right? They can buy a lot of stuff, they have a lot of income, but then they write it all off and they have really no income to show for underwriting. So maybe you were scared about that before, where we bring in a class on how to talk to you, how to help self-employed borrowers and people who have a lot of write-offs, and look for other programs that they can use, right. To still get into a home. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Like, they're trying to get into a home. They're not bad people, right? They don't like paying taxes. That doesn't make them a bad person. I know, well, none of us like to pay taxes. We're all great people. So it just becomes one of those things where it's like, well, why not, right? So let's help them. Let's educate that loan officer so he can go out there. He can, the next person he meets, right? He has an answer for him. He has a product for him. He can help him, really. So that's what it comes down to. So NEXA University, it's about educating our LOs. It's about taking it to the next level. It's about just having more knowledge, more confidence when you're going out there to meet with somebody that you have a product for.
I was going to ask you how you're going to get through 2022, but I think I know the answer. And you already, Dan Fouts is a perfect example, right? Yeah. Kenny and I had a conversation with him the other day on how to be a better partner. And he gave us a half an hour of his time and told us all of these things that, hey, here's what I would do. Here's what we should consider doing. This is what we should look at. Didn't even know I could update my profile. He really took the time out of his day to help me be a better partner. But I think that if anyone wants to know why is NEXA going to survive and thrive, and as Phil Mancuso would say, eat the loser's lunch, is a little plug for Phil for Mondays at Mondays. Yeah. So I think that what it's going to be is just what you said. Every loan, every borrower, every purchase of their home, every refinance, every cash out is important, you guys. And you have a team that's dedicated to making sure that it's structured, it's created the right way. And if it's not today, you guys tell them how to get it 2 months from now, 3 months from now. So you're really creating customers for life and not looking at it as a transaction. And I think that's what happened in 2020, 2021. Everything was a transaction. How many transactions can we get through this machine? Right. And the difference between NEXA is you guys truly treat the borrower. This is a true story. I'm not making this up. I talked when I was in the next room. I had one of your LOs out of New York cry to me that I was able to help her fix this deal on the purchase of this woman's home because I was able to, get a little more income and, by playing around with some numbers and helping her out. She truly cared about that borrower. She didn't look at it as a transaction. She wanted to get that person into a home. And the woman broke down in tears. And it reminded me why I do this job. It reminded me why I got in this business. So that says a lot about NEXA. So when anyone wants to know why NEXA is going to probably grow and kick ass in 2021 and 2022 and take market share, it's because they truly care and they take the time to talk to the borrowers as a person and help educate them. If I can't get you in today, here's where I can help you in 3 months if you do this, this, and this. Call me back then. And guys like Dan Fouts, who are veterans in the industry that are willing to take, like I said, here's a guy that can do hit 40 home runs, steal 40 bases. He's probably 50-50 guy, and to sit back and say, I'm going to help coach. That's why you guys will kick ass in 2022. And I mean, I gave you the answer. I hope I was online with that answer. I'd like to know, is there something different that you guys plan on doing in 2022 to increase market share?
Right now, as far as increasing market share, you have to continually evolve. You have to continually provide, a reason, like a differentiator for everything else that's out there, right? Just because, there's a lot of, we saw in the news a couple of days ago, right? Quicken Loans laid off a whole division because their partnership program with State Farm wasn't quite working out, whatever it was, right? We read between the lines on that and understand exactly what happened, but you see these things, right? You see companies downsizing right now, losing a lot of support, right? A lot of these, the banks that are out there that are on such high margins that they can't survive, right? Mike and I are in that mentality of it all goes back to the LO. Like, we're not here to take large margins and all that stuff. You've seen CEOs that refuse to lower their margin, and what do they have to do? They have to lay off like 2,000 people. That's not cool, right? That's not the way that we're going to operate. So we've never operated that way. So for us, it's always the loan officer comes first, right? So just like you talked about, the loan officer, like it really struck home that they were, caring so much about their client. Well, our loan officer is our client, is NEXA's client. Like, that's mine and Mike's client. So we want to, understand them. We want to, they're people too, right? Every week, every Tuesday, we've done this from day one. We do a weekly town hall where, over 1,000 people jump on the call, NEXA mortgage employees, and they're able to voice whatever concerns they have. And Mike and I, we were in that call, and we were dealing with live things, right? Like, hey, my health insurance, X, Y, and Z, or this, that, and we sometimes it's like, you take some shots, but then you get the bigger picture. Your eyes are wide open as to, all right, we need to fix something, right? We need to help here. These are our people talking to us. We need to listen. And anytime that you stop listening to your client, anytime you stop listening to the people who are the most important to an organization, to the growth of a company and what you're trying to do, you lose sight. And that's one thing that Mike and I aren't going to do. We're going to constantly listen. And that's our mindset. We're here to listen. We're here to help. We're all human beings. We're all in this thing together. Let's treat others as we want to be treated. Let's just go forth, right? Let's move it forward. So our LOs do that with their clients. We do that with our loan officers. It becomes like a trickle. I call it a trickle up effect, right? Because it starts with them, right? They're the most important people in the organization. Our loan officers, they're the foundation. We're here to support them. So the more support we can give, the more options we can give, the more stable we can make it for them. I think that's what's going to help us past 2022 into 2023. I think we just keep our mindset going and we keep making it better. And that's really what we're set to do.
Wow. Culture wins every time, right, Kenny? I mean, everyone always says, hey, when I come to your office, there's an energy there. There's a different, I feel it when I walk in the door, and I'm like, that's culture, right? I don't need to put a sentence on the wall when you walk in for you to know what that culture is, right? What I've discovered from doing these so far between Jamie Kavanaugh, Chris Gordon, TJ Curran, all of these people, all of these people so far have all had one thing in common, and that is their company has great culture. Like at EPM, people think that empower people more is just like, oh, well, Grimes and letters. No, it's true. That's what we do. And the same thing I'm hearing from you guys. Eddie gets on that call and he'll answer questions from everyone. And it could be something as I think the medical could be less. Okay, I'm going to listen to you because I'm here for you and I'm here to do a service to you. So Those are the things that make a difference. And I think you guys, you just said it. And I felt it while I was sitting here, right? It's not, you don't need to put it on a business card and put it on the back of a t-shirt. This is my culture, and have it painted on the entryway behind the reception desk. What you just said, more executives need to understand, stop trying to put culture on a business card, stop trying to put it as a catchphrase, and actually make it living, breathing. And that's what we do here at EPM. That's what NEXA's doing. That's what Jamie's doing. That's what Chris is. All of these people have told me the same thing. And I could tell that it's real. I don't need to go to their office to know they have culture. So, I mean, Kenny, did I miss anything on that?
No, spot on. I just got another question for Matt, though. It's, you talk about the town hall and the openness that anyone can ask any questions. You do have a lot of new LOs. So if LO comes to you in that town hall and says, hey, he entered the market at a turbulent time, right? The rates are going crazy. It's not as easy as it was 6 months ago. What do you give him as on the playbook? What do you say? How do you kind of give him the confidence to say, hey, things are going to be all right. We should pivot to do this.
Look, you gotta weather storms in this industry, right? In any industry, right? If you want to be successful over the long term, you can't look at short-term successes and failures that are going to define you, right? Like that's not going to do it, right? So, entering this market right now in a rising rate environment and all that stuff, which we are in, and it's been kind of tough. I say the same thing to anybody who comes to me, any loan officer, and a lot of them have questions about, well, how do I sell rate? Like we hear this on town hall a lot, and it's usually the newer guys that come on. And I addressed it yesterday in my call on it, and this is my philosophy: is I don't sell rate. I don't sell tomorrow's rate. I can't sell yesterday's rate. I don't have a time machine. I can't go back in and get you last week's rate from last week's quote. I sell today's rate. So the decision that needs to be made needs to be made today. And if you stay present focused of what you're doing, the future will start to come more in focus, right? If you use present focus right now, means this is what I can do to impact it today. Right? If you worry about what you need to do today, the future will take care of itself. So I always tell the loan officers, I said, look, I don't sell today's rate. I never have, I never will. Last time I checked, the U.S. Treasury isn't calling Mat Grella and Queen Creek, Arizona, to ask me should we raise the rate, or which I don't know. I don't have any control of that. Barry Aviv is an amazing person, and he can project this stuff out. And I watch this stuff and I follow it and all that stuff. But that's great. He looks at the trends, and I see what he's doing. I understand it. But I'm not going to go out there and speak to that, because I'm speaking to today, right? As a salesperson, you have to be in the now. You have to be in the moment. And I think anytime you start to get a little bit outside of that and lose that focus, or the noise becomes so loud that you get a little distracted about all that other stuff, I think doubt sets in, right? So the key here is eliminate the doubt, right? Focus on your controllables, control your controllables, focus on the now, win the now, and you're going to win the future. So to me, it's all about staying in the pocket, staying in the now, and being present focused. And, there's other strategies, we can talk about strategies and stuff like that with a loan officer and a one-on-one. But the bigger picture, I think it comes around mindset. And I think if you fix that mindset and you get it right, I think you'll be successful in any market.
Right. Well, before we let you go, we have a staple question every week on the podcast. You kind of hit it a little bit. It's about your value. It's not about rate.
Yeah.
How do you define your value in the market?
Well, my value has to change. It has to evolve. What we've done and what I've done yesterday or last week or last year pales in comparison to what I need to do today. So my vision, my focus, my values are always on the now. It's always putting the people first, right? It's treating others as they want to be treated. Always pointing a thumb before I point a finger. So I'm going to take accountability of everything. Having an insatiable thirst to want to get better and grow. Embracing change, embracing diversity. Those are like our big things, and always having a moral compass that points north and always doing the right thing. So it's one of those things where I do this every day, and I always make sure that I act as if people are watching. I act as if somebody is watching me, to make sure that I am going about the right way. And I hope that every day I can continue to do that for my children, for my family, for the people who I impact on a daily basis, and for our loan officers and our employees. Because at the end of the day, you have to be your own source of light. Like, you have to be your own beacon.
Yep.
So for me, it's always staying present focused. It's always corrected my mindset. I don't get too high up in the clouds. I don't dwell too much on the past. It's just staying right now, because this is what I can impact as the present. So when I talk about values, it's about all those things all in one. So hopefully I answered that question. I don't know.
Perfect.
But yeah, that's
Well, Matt, you meant a lot to us, because I came in here with a T-shirt on today. I did put the jacket. This was
I saw. I'm glad we met. We didn't even coordinate that. How crazy!
Right.
I was actually thinking about wearing a suit when I saw the other podcast. I was like,
I was so nervous today getting dressed, but I'll share one last thing. We always say, Eddie says, thumbs, not guns. So it's kind of what you said. Don't point at someone. Take the ownership. That's an awesome answer. I want to thank everyone for tuning in and listening to the Whole Perspective podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to continue the conversation, head over to Broker Success Community Facebook group. Reach out to Matt himself at NEXA. And you can also find us on LinkedIn at EPM Broker Success, or on Instagram at EPM Broker. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Matt.
Appreciate you guys. We got to get back on the course, man.
There
Absolutely.
you go.